Okay, so this is definitely going to be a rant, just giving you a heads up. And I know some of you are going to say comments below, like, well, until the pandemic is over. No, no, no. Put those comments aside. I mean, you're free to share them, get them off your chest if you want, but what's happening right now with Disney is not pandemic related, not the way they say it is, and it's pissing me off, and it needs to be discussed. Everyone, this is Kevin, your failed journalist. Now, a video that I did last year that got a lot of negative reaction, but I stand by that, was when Disney decided that they were going to give Pixar Soul away on Disney Plus for free. Now, I complained a lot because you know what? Pixar is a masterclass studio. Yeah, sometimes you'll get a Cars 2 that's pretty terrible, and sometimes you'll get an Onward that's pretty underwhelming. But for the most part, Pixar makes great movies, and they are artistic, and they are wonderful. They are made for the big screen, and they need to be seen on the big screen. The fact that Disney was giving Soul away for free shortly after the premiere access to Mulan was, let's face it, that was a failure. Disney says it wasn't a failure, but here's the thing. They ended that a lot sooner, and then you saw them cutting prices on other services. It's a failure. But here's the thing. When they were putting Soul on Disney Plus for free, I was pissed because it's like, you know what? Hey, I want to see it in theaters. And look, the vaccines are being approved. Next year will be better. Either save it for next year or at the very least put it in theaters that are open and just let it play out for the next several months. Like I don't know why they couldn't have waited, but they didn't. And they put Soul on Disney Plus. And here's the thing. Yeah, it was great. It was one of last year's best films. It actually made me cry a little bit to think that this was being given away as a freebie. Basically, that, hey, you want to subscribe to Disney Plus, you get a free movie. Now, a lot of people say, well, I'm paying for Disney Plus, so it's not really free. Yeah, it's free. It's basically free. If you're not paying extra for it, it's part of a buffet. It would be the same thing as if you went to the Hometown Buffet. I'm not sure if they're still in business, to be honest, anymore. Or Soup Plantation, which I know is not in business anymore. And you paid your $10 and you stuffed yourself on all of the main courses, but then you go to dessert and they say, oh, by the way, ice cream's an extra $5. Guess what? Most people will not pay that extra $5 for ice cream. They're going to go back to the free food. So yes, when you don't charge a Premier Access fee for Soul, it's basically free. Well, Disney announced a huge reshuffling of a lot of things. Like Black Widow is going to hit Disney Plus and have a theatrical screening at the same time. Basically, you can choose to either go to see it in theaters or you can go to see it on Disney Plus and pay an extra $30. Although, personal prediction, I think that's going to cost like $50. I think they're going to experiment with that price a little bit more. Now, they did this also for Cruella, which is not being delayed, and I think the fact that Black Widow was delayed shows that Disney really doesn't want to do a day and date. I think they're delaying it to kind of give themselves some time, like we're going to play it safe for the time being. But here's the thing, if cases dramatically drop and the vaccine is very effective and we can start opening up more and more, well, then maybe it can just be a theatrical exclusive. And you know what? Hey, I guess we just have to get it out there. Here's, as long as there's a choice, then that's fine. But here's the thing. We all know that this Disney Plus Premier Access Plus theatrical window thing just does not work very well. Raya and the Last Dragon was not a success on either format. Now, Disney said it was. I don't believe them, and I'll tell you why in a moment. This is not what's bothering me. I understand under a bad situation, this is probably the best alternative. And nobody likes this. I mean, here's the thing. It has been pointed out that if 1 million people pay for Black Widow on Disney Plus, they don't share that money with the theaters, and that's $30 million for them. Well, $30 million is not enough for a big budget blockbuster like Black Widow. Well, what if 30 million people pay for it? Well, that's $300 million. It's still not enough. They need the theaters. They need these movies to make $1 billion. It has been proven time and time again throughout the year that streaming direct-to-consumer is not there yet. Maybe it will be one day. Who knows? But it's not there now. I think Disney's just doing this because they have to start getting movies out there, and they have to start bringing in revenue, and this is the best way to do it. Never mind, I think some theaters will actually push back on Black Widow, and Black Widow is so important to Disney theatrically that I think more than Cinemark might be saying no to that. So we'll have to see what happens on that. But again, this is a bad situation, and they're just trying to make the best of it. So this news did not upset me. What did upset me was one of the others. I mean, because here's the thing. They also rescheduled The Kingsman and Death on the River Nile to like next year or later this year, something like that. But they actually had the gall, the nerve, to cancel the theatrical release for Pixar's upcoming Luca. And some of you might say, oh, okay, so I guess that's going straight to Disney Plus Premier Access. No, it's not even Premier Access. It's just coming to Disney Plus. It's just going to come to Disney Plus, and it's going to be free. Now, here's the thing. I will acknowledge that in several months, when we get to see Luca, if the movie is not that great, and there's a chance it might not be great. This is not being directed by a veteran at Pixar. This is being directed by a newcomer, and sometimes those don't work out very well. A newcomer or someone who didn't have theatrical directing experience included the director for Brave, the second one, not Brenda Chapman, she's awesome, and the director of The Good Dinosaur, which both of those are definitely lesser Pixar films. So in several months, if this ends up being kind of like a average film, that's probably going to make this decision will make a lot more sense. Here's my problem. This is Pixar. You do not give away Pixar films. And I'm getting sick and tired of Pixar being the punching bag. Why are they getting the short end of the stick every single time? Why are they drawing the short straw whenever this reshuffling? Okay, so Cruella gets a day and date release on Disney Plus, and Free Guy and Death on the River Nile, these movies have the benefit of the doubt to be delayed long enough without day and date releases to be pure theatrical movies because the company says, yeah, they're worth paying for. Why isn't Pixar getting this same treatment? Pixar, the studio that has made how many billion-dollar movies? Let's hear. Toy Story 3 was a billion-dollar hit. Up was close to a billion-dollar hit. Then you had The Incredibles 2, billion-dollar hit. Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, WALL-E. How many Pixar movies outright bombed? The Good Dinosaur and maybe Onward, which, you know, who knows? Maybe Onward might have done a lot better had it not launched 3 weeks before a pandemic and a lockdown ensued. Maybe. But Pixar has had a very solid track record. Very solid, both in terms of quality and financial success. And this is starting to piss me off. Now, here's what it says right here. Disney will no longer release the Pixar film Luca in U.S. theaters. Instead, the film will stream exclusively on its Disney Plus streaming platform worldwide. Why? It's Pixar. You know, Pixar makes works of art. That studio has won more Oscars in the Best Animated Feature category than any other company in the world. This includes Disney themselves, Studio Ghibli, and Warner Brothers. I mean, let's see. I mean, how many times has Pixar won? Let's see here. I've got it over here. Let's see here. We have Finding Nemo, Incredibles, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up, Toy Story 3, Brave, not Big Hero 6, Inside Out, Coco, Toy Story 4. That's 10. 10 movies that have won Best Animated Feature that have come from Pixar. Pixar has produced 2 of the 3 animated films that have been nominated for Best Picture. Toy Story 3 and Up. And by the way, Soul should have been a Best Picture nominee this year. Pixar makes serious movies and works of art for everyone. They don't make kids movies for adults. They make adult movies for kids. You know what Pixar does not do? Pixar does not make little cartoons that are there to babysit your bratty snot-nosed kids. And that's exactly what Disney is saying when they put a movie directly on Disney Plus. Hey, it's not going to go to theaters. This isn't worth watching in the theaters. We're going to put it on Disney Plus. But here's the thing. We don't even have the nerve to charge full price for it. Like, oh yeah, Mulan is worth paying $30 for. But Luca isn't. Soul, I'm getting ahead of myself. Raya and the Last Dragon, that's worth paying $30 for, even though that was a completely average film, be honest. But Soul, this wonderful film that is so good, it made it on so many top 10 lists, and fellow YouTuber, the Mysterious Mr. Ender, actually ended his admirable animation series on Soul because he cannot conceive of a better movie coming out. No. This is free. This isn't worth charging money for. This is something to be there to babysit your kids. You know, here's what's starting to annoy me a little bit about this whole situation. Because I am in an interesting position. I am both a Disney fan and a Disney shareholder. I also own shares in the movie theaters themselves, Cinemark, IMAX, AMC. I acknowledge that, but let's move on, put that aside for a second. As a Disney fan, I want to see these movies in theaters. I am the kind of person that in 1998, or maybe was it 97? I forgot which year it was. But, you know, the new James Bond movie, that's not necessarily something I'm super excited about seeing. But Tarzan, the new animated movie from Disney, that is on the top of my list. That is what I'm seeing on day one. You know what? I'm the kind of person who it's like, I will pass up the screening of a new animated film to see a re-release of The Lion King, the good one, the 1994 movie. So as a fan, it is frustrating when I see something that is clearly supposed to be made for the big screen and looks like it has a lot of attention to detail and will probably be very good, to not have the chance to see it in theaters. That's annoying as a fan. But here's another thing. As a Disney shareholder, I'm looking at this and it's like, why are you throwing money away? Now, they say that Soul would have been a tough sell. Like, you know what? That wasn't going to be a $1 billion movie. That was probably going to make $100 or $200 million. And people were going to move on from it. It just was too much of a sell. You know what? I would agree, except Pixar already took Up, which featured an old guy as the main character, and they turned that into almost a $1 billion movie. They took WALL-E, which had the first 30 minutes pretty much completely silent. They turned it into a hit film, and not only that, the kids were quiet during WALL-E. You could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet because everyone was so engrossed in WALL-E. Pixar has proven that they can take unlikely subjects and they can make a lot of money with them. And then as a Disney shareholder, it's like, okay, you know what? Maybe, hey, because of the circumstances, let's just... And here's another thing. As a shareholder, I'm looking at, you know what's been the number one in the top 5 for the last 17 weeks? The Croods 2. The Croods 2, which everyone, including me, like, you know, this movie, which was supposed to be, okay, it's going to do moderately well in theaters, and then people are just going to go premium video on demand 17 days later. No. This thing is on disc. It's been on premium video on demand. I think it's going to be streaming on Peacock for free soon, and it's still in the top 5 highest grossing films of the week in America. And it's doing very well overseas. Family films are doing extraordinarily well in theaters. Why would you put Luca straight to Disney Plus? Why wouldn't you get some of that money? Now, some people say, well, maybe it's because Raya and the Last Dragon was a success. Well, except Disney said it was a success. They did. They said they were very happy with the results of Raya and the Last Dragon. I think they're bullshitting you, of course, because if they really did feel that way, they'd probably do the same thing to Luca. But my question is, what makes Raya and the Last Dragon a success if you're not going to do it with Luca? And if it wasn't a success, how much of a success wasn't it? I mean, $71 million for that in theaters, that is terrible for a Disney film. Now, some people say, well, maybe they made $200 million on digital sales. I don't know. Disney keeps that stuff under wraps. And here's something that, as a shareholder, I'm getting really tired of when it comes to the streaming wars. Why are shareholders putting up with this notion that, hey, we, the studio, can say what's been a success and what's not. But we don't actually have to back it up with numbers. Disney was just bragging recently. Oh, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Guess what? That's the most watched premiere in Disney Plus history. Well, first of all, you've had 3 marquee titles, and there's more subscribers than there were 2 years ago. So yes, first of all, I believe that it was the most watched thing. But what does that mean? Does it mean was it 20 million unique views? Was it 40 million views, but 30 million of those views were people who watched it multiple times? Like, what does that mean? As an investor and a shareholder, I think I have the right to know exactly what measurement of success are these streaming services provided, and what do views mean for the company anyway? What do they mean? Because right now I'm only seeing one thing. I am seeing a movie that has the potential to make a lot of money in theaters and be very good and be enjoyable, tailor-made for movie theater experiences. And Disney's basically saying, nope, just give it away for free. It's a freebie if you subscribe to Disney Plus. Pixar's films are by and large way too good to be given away for free. And you know how Disney's also going to screw the people who made these movies? This movie won't be eligible for an Oscar unless it's put in theaters. Now, some of you might be saying, oh, wait a minute, Kevin. There's streaming movies that have been nominated for Best Animated Feature this year. In fact, the vast majority of the movies were premiering on streaming. Yes, the Academy Awards made an exemption for last year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But come August and September, once things are back to normal for the most part, the Academy is going to revoke that rule, that exception. They're going to say, okay, yep, you know what, things are by and large back to normal, so you know what, you want your movie to qualify for Academy Award, it's got to be in theaters. You know what's not going to be in theaters? Luca. And let's just assume this is going to be a good movie. It might not be, and again, several months, when we see this thing, maybe the movie wasn't very good, and we might see why Disney's considering it a burner film, because that's what something is when you give it away for free. It's a burner film. It's basically just something you throw into the pot. It's a spice or something to make it taste a little bit better, but on its own, you couldn't get people to eat it. But what if it's good? What if it's great even? Guess what? You've screwed this first-time director, or at least the first-time director of a feature film, out of his chance to get an Oscar. Because Pixar wins a lot of Oscars at these awards. And there are so many reasons why this is a crummy move. I'm looking at this and it's like, I'm looking at just the detail of the fins, of the water, of the sky. I'm looking at the colors and it's like, man, I want to see this in IMAX so badly. I want to see this in IMAX or Dolby Cinema, whatever it is. And I'm not going to be able to. I mean, maybe they'll show it at the El Capitan for a week because, Disney owns that theater and that might be how they get around the Oscar qualification. But you know what? It seems criminal that all this work and all this money would go into a labor of love and they're just going to throw it away. They're going to basically just give it away for free. And why is only Pixar doing this? Again, Pixar makes serious movies. They make works of art. Why is Pixar getting the short end of the stick every single time? Because you know what honestly looks like it could have been given away for free on Disney Plus and nobody would have batted an eye? Cruella. I mean, Cruella is like just another Disney remake. In fact, dare I say it, I think people are kind of bored with them. Hey, give it away if you need to burn something off. I don't think that should be given away on Disney Plus either. I think these all should be given their theatrical releases. And you know what? Artemis Fowl? Yeah. I mean, that would have been criminal to charge people for. Give it away. But don't be giving away Pixar movies, especially after Soul ended up being one of the best films of the year. Why would you not want that in theaters? That's the kind of movie that through word of mouth gets better and better box office returns. As a Disney fan, this is extremely frustrating because I want to see these movies in the best way possible. Disney Plus is not the best way to see these movies. And as a shareholder, I am flabbergasted by the money that is being left on the table. And yes, as someone who has stock in the theatrical chains as well, yeah, why would you take away a family film when family films seem to be doing the best at the box office? Highest grossing films this year so far, Tom and Jerry, The Croods, and The Last Dragon. And last year, the highest grossing film was Sonic the Hedgehog. Granted, that was before the pandemic. But you know what I'm saying? Family films have had very good returns at the box office. They are bringing people back to the theaters. Why would you take that away from the theaters? I mean, at the very least, do a day and date release. I'm not a fan of them. I think that they need to come to an end at some point. But you know what? While the pandemic is still out there and while people are still uncomfortable with going out, you know what? It's a good compromise. It gives people options. But I don't have an option to watch Luca on a big screen. I can only watch Luca on Disney Plus, and I think that is a disgrace to the filmmakers, to Pixar, and even Disney themselves, that they would take a, I assume, high-quality product from a studio that has been nothing but good to you, and basically Pixar was keeping Disney's head above water during the dark 2000s when Brother Bear and Home on the Range and Treasure Planet were all tanking. And yeah, Treasure Planet's a good movie, but it lost them a lot of money, and Pixar was saving Disney's bacon. And now they're treating them like an ugly stepchild that makes disposable fare for kids. It pisses me off, to be frank. And anyway, that's where I'm going to leave this one. I really want to see this in theaters. Hopefully I'll still get that chance to. Hopefully the cooler heads will prevail. But Kareem Daniel, the guy who made the choice, who is an idiot, by the way, he decided, this is just good for Disney Plus. And if this is Pixar's future, that they're just going to start making direct-to-video stuff for kiddies, what a way to end a legacy. Never thought that that's what Pixar's fate would have been, but there you go. Anyway, folks, I would like to know what you think about all this. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.